Today, we're going to dig into the incredible forces that are in a constant, epic battle, shaping and reshaping the very ground we're all standing on.
So, let me just ask you this. That solid ground beneath your feet, does it feel permanent? Fixed? Like it's always been there and always will be? I mean, of course it does. That's what we all assume. But spoiler alert, that assumption is totally wrong. The truth is, our planet's surface is always in motion. It's a non-stop construction site, caught in this endless cycle of being built up and torn back down.
Now, there's a scientific name for all this action, geomorphic movements. It's really just a catch-all term for every natural process that sculpts our world, from the super slow grinding of rocks to the absolute chaos of an earthquake.
Okay, so let's break this down. It really all comes down to a battle between two major types of forces. You've got endogenic forces, which come from inside the Earth, and exogenic forces, which work on the surface, from the outside.
First up, let's talk about the endogenic forces. A good way to think of these is as the planet's master builders. They're the ones pushing land up, creating the raw material for all the world's landscapes.
The name kind of gives it away, right? Endo means within. So all these movements get their massive power from the heat and pressure that's deep inside our planet, and they're constantly building up and twisting the Earth's crust.
So where does all this incredible energy even come from? Well, it's fueled by a few key things. The insane heat coming from the planet's core, the crushing pressure from gravity, and these giant, slow-moving currents in the mantle that are literally dragging the continents around. It's kind of like huge rafts floating on a slowly simmering stew. And get this, these builder forces work on two totally different clocks. On one hand, you've got diastrophic forces, which are unbelievably slow. We're talking millions of years to see any real change. And on the other hand, you've got sudden forces, which can literally change the world in seconds.
Let's start with the slow and steady one, diastrophism. This is the architect of our world. It includes these huge vertical movements that can lift or sink entire continents over eons. And it's also responsible for the horizontal forces, all that pushing and squeezing that crumples up the Earth's crust to form colossal mountain ranges like the Himalayas.
And this right here shows you what happens when all that slow, built-up pressure gets released in a flash. Back in 1819, an earthquake in India caused a massive chunk of land to just sink below sea level, instantly. It's a pretty powerful reminder that these slow forces can have some incredibly sudden results.
Which of course brings us to the fast-acting builders. Earthquakes, that sudden, violent release of all that internal energy.
In a single moment, an earthquake can do what takes other forces thousands, even millions of years to accomplish. Those seismic waves can reroute huge rivers, create entirely new coastlines, and shake mountains apart in massive landslides. It's just raw, planetary power on display. But hey, for every builder, there's gotta be a destroyer, right? Or maybe a sculptor is a better word. Let's shift gears and look at the exogenic forces, the external powers that are constantly wearing away everything the builders create. So, exo means outside. These forces get their power not from inside the Earth, but from the sun. The sun's energy is what drives our weather, all the wind, the rain, the ice, and it's these elements that just relentlessly attack the surface, breaking it down and carrying it off.
The sculptor's two main tools are weathering and erosion. Now, people mix these up all the time, but the difference is actually really simple. Just remember this: weathering breaks it, erosion takes it. One makes the mess, the other one hauls it away.
So, let's look at the breaking part first, weathering. It's not just one process, it's more like a three-pronged attack. It comes from physical force, from chemical reactions, and even from living things. Physical weathering is basically like taking a hammer to a rock. It just smashes it into smaller bits without actually changing what the rock is made of. You see it all the time with smooth stones in a river. That's abrasion, from them tumbling and bumping into each other. Or picture a rock in the desert, baking hot during the day and freezing cold at night. It expands and contracts over and over until it just cracks.
Chemical weathering, on the other hand, is more like using acid. It actually changes the chemical recipe of the rock itself. Rainwater, for example, is naturally a little acidic, so it can dissolve certain minerals right out of a rock. And oxygen can cause rocks with a lot of iron in them to basically rust and fall apart. Water and heat just make these reactions happen way faster.
And last but not least, there's the incredible power of life itself, biological weathering.
I mean, the classic example is a tiny tree root finding its way into a crack in a boulder and then, over years, slowly and powerfully splitting that rock wide open. But it's also more subtle, like when decaying leaves create acids that just seep into the ground and dissolve minerals.
So, what do you get when you put it all together? You've got the builders pushing up from the inside, and the sculptors wearing everything down from the outside. Which brings us to the grand finale, our planet's truly endless cycle of reshaping.
I just love this quote. It perfectly sums up the whole thing. The world we see outside our window, it's not a finished painting. It's just a snapshot, a temporary ceasefire in a war that never ever ends. And you can see the results of this tug-of-war everywhere. A mountain is standing tall simply because the internal builders are pushing it up faster than the external sculptors can wear it down. A deep canyon exists because the forces of erosion won that particular battle, carrying away the land bit by bit. So why should any of this matter to us? Well, because this ancient battle is the very reason our planet is livable. This constant cycle of building up and breaking down is what creates the rich soil we need to grow our food. It's what exposes the valuable minerals we use to build, well, everything. This process is literally the engine that runs our world.
So the next time you look at a mountain, or a river valley, or even a coastline, just remember the immense forces locked in that endless battle. And it leaves you with this one kind of mind-blowing thought. Given this constant war, what on earth will our planet even look like 1,000,000 years from now?